Jagged. There's so many things that are taught nowadays concerning spirituality, concerning growth, God, the whole thing. It gets very, very confusing. And Mayor Baba, a great master, said there are so many pitfalls on the path, places to get caught. And he said the higher you get, the bigger the pitfalls. That's why it's very important, maybe even early in the journey, to have some reasonable understanding of what's going on. If you're locked in a room somewhere and you want to get out, it's not always about knocking on the door. You may look at the windows, you may understand the structure. You have to understand what's going on in order to have an ultimate chance of freeing yourself. Well, it's the same thing in spirituality. So, for example, let's take witness consciousness. We all think we know what it is, but very, very few people really know what witness consciousness is, because it isn't a concept. It isn't a goal. It isn't something you're trying to achieve. It is a state of being. And if you're not in that state, you really can't understand what it is. You can get some concept and try to achieve it. So let's just take witness consciousness. How do you achieve witness consciousness? Some people think you do that by witnessing, by paying attention, by focusing on things. That's a good step, but that's not witness consciousness. That's the attempt to achieve witness consciousness. And that's a very, very different thing. Witness consciousness occurs when you are not distracted from the seat of self. That's what happens. Right now, if you're staring at a picture and it's either so beautiful or so ugly that you can't take your eyes off of it, or I always use the example, there's a 20-foot rattlesnake crawling around the room, you can't take your eyes off of it. You want to be looking at that thing. You don't want it behind you. You don't want it sneaking up on you. So you are what I call distracted by that. You are distracted. If I asked you while you're staring at the snake, what's 16 times 12? There's not a chance that you're going to take your consciousness off of that snake to do math in your mind, or to look at other things. If I asked you what was in the room, 20-foot snake. No, there were people and there were things and there were pictures on the wall and lots of things, weren't there? No, it was a 20-foot snake. That is so spiritual. That is spirituality. That is what it means to understand what's going on. Consciousness gets distracted by the strongest thing in its attention. That's paying attention to. It doesn't get distracted by the carpet when the snake's crawling around. It doesn't get distracted by the walls or the knots in the wall or what the pictures are. It gets distracted by that which is drawing its consciousness to it. And we'll talk about why distraction takes place. But that's an obvious distraction, isn't it? All right. That is not witness consciousness. That is distraction consciousness. In fact, that is snake consciousness. All right? Your consciousness is the same consciousness. Your consciousness is being drawn, focused on, like a light shines on an object. The light can go anywhere. And by the way, when the light is shining on the object, there is a whole beam of light in between, from the source of light to where it hits the object. But you're looking at the light on the object, because the object is very beautiful, the object is scary, whatever the heck it is. You don't look at the beam of light. You look at the object of consciousness. And you can't help yourself. It distracts you. You are the consciousness. You are seated in the highest seat of the source of consciousness, God. Sorry, I don't know what your concepts of God are, but there's a nice one to talk about. The source of consciousness. That's the highest word you will ever hear for the description of God. The source of consciousness. Source of whose consciousness? Yours and everybody else's. It is the source of consciousness. Man was created in the image of God. Man minus mind equals God. Meditate on the self. Honor and worship your own being. God dwells within you as you. The kingdom of God is within you. They all taught the same exact thing, because it's the truth. You are consciousness. You are awareness. But your awareness gets distracted by things. And you identify, if it stays distracted long enough, you identify with that. It's sticky. It draws your consciousness down to it, And now you own it. You're it. I'm the one who saw the snake. From now on, for the rest of my life, I'm the one who saw the 20-foot snake. Who were you before you saw the snake? Who are you every single day you're not seeing the snake? You have defined yourself by what the object of your consciousness fell on. Does everybody understand that? That's very, very deep spiritually. That's what the ego is. The ego is not real. Ego doesn't exist. You made it up. It's something you made up in your mind. And you didn't even do it purposely. Consciousness gets distracted by and focuses on strong objects. And when it does so for a prolonged period of time, 3 seconds, it identifies with it. Okay? It just starts to identify with it. It made a big impression on the mind. Therefore, it stayed in the mind. What did? Consciousness? No. The object made an impression on the mind. Consciousness stared at it. It didn't have a choice. It was not a willful effort. I'm going to stare at that snake. It was distracted by it. And while it's focused on it, it makes... God, can you really understand? It is because the consciousness is focused on it that it makes an impression in your mind. If the consciousness is not focused on it, the grass, the trees, the leaf, the sun, the thing, it just goes right through. But if consciousness is distracted by it and puts its focus on it, it stays. What stays? The relationship between the consciousness and the object is fixated. It becomes a fixation. Psychologists call it a fixation. You have made this thing stay. How? Because consciousness has a power. It's called Chit-Shakti, conscious energy. They're the same thing. Energy and consciousness are the same thing. I don't want to get into it. It's too high up there. Yoga is not asanas. It's not body postures and breathing. Yoga is the deepest philosophy of all of humankind that's ever been formed from the beginning of time. It explains everything. Way before psychology, they were talking about samskaras, suppressions. They were dealing with everything. Why? Because they meditated so deeply. They went to the caves. Why? So they didn't get distracted. That doesn't mean you should go to the cave. It's not about renunciation. It's about non-distraction. Ultimately, you should be able to be non-distracted in the middle of the world. All right? But net result is these great masters from thousands of years ago, the ancient rishis, the ancient great foundations of yoga, meditated so deeply that they found the source of consciousness. Their consciousness was no longer being distracted by objects outside. Well, if it's not distracted, what happens? It stays in its source. It stays where it is. It doesn't get pulled down to the object. So there's no identifying. There's no distracting. What's left? Consciousness. It's the highest. I didn't mean to talk to you this way. Right? But it's good. You should know it once. What's left when the consciousness is not being distracted by object of consciousness is consciousness being aware that it's conscious. It's not conscious of anything. It's just conscious. I am that I am. You've heard that term. It's the I am. Not I am scared. Not I'm the one that saw the snake. Not I'm the one who's married to George. Not I'm the one that had trouble in a car accident when I was young. Not I'm the one that the mother... You understand? I'm not defining myself as what happened to me. I'm the one that experienced those things. So when the consciousness is not being distracted by objects of consciousness, it remains seated in the seat of consciousness. It's called becoming established in the seat of self. That is witness consciousness. It's actually the next step past witness consciousness. Witness consciousness is when you're seated in the seat of self enough to know that something is distracting you. You actually feel it. You feel like a beam being pulled out of your seat of consciousness. When a thought gets created, you feel it pull the consciousness toward it. And you have a choice. Go with it or let it go. That's witness consciousness. You are witnessing that something is drawing your consciousness. And it doesn't matter what the something is. It doesn't matter. A snake, a flower, a person, a man, a female. It doesn't matter. It makes no difference. It's just an object of consciousness that exists made out of atoms. They're all made of the same atoms. But basically, your consciousness gets drawn down to it. While the consciousness is drawn down to it, and you're not seated in the seat of consciousness, being aware that I am the consciousness, and my awareness is being drawn down to this object. You're in the object trying to be out. You see the difference? That is not witness consciousness. It's attempting to make believe you're in witness consciousness. I see it. Yes, I see the thoughts. I can see the thought. That's still the mind. It still drew you down to ego consciousness. When you achieve the state, and it doesn't have to be all or nothing, when you achieve the state that you're in a situation that the objects of consciousness, be they thoughts, emotions, or the world, they're all just objects of consciousness, the things that consciousness is aware of. You are aware of your thoughts, aren't you? It's the same consciousness aware of your thoughts that are aware of your emotions and is aware of what comes into your senses, all at the same time. Something comes into your senses, your mind starts thinking about it, your heart starts hurting or feeling good. In the new book I call it the three-ring circus. You have all this stuff going on. They're all objects of consciousness. No one is higher than any other one. It is just something that the light of consciousness is shining on. If the light shines on an object, the light's not dirty, the light's not dead, the light's not broken, the light's not beautiful. It's just light. It's all the same exact light. It's the same consciousness shining on your nice thoughts and your not nice thoughts, on your nice emotions and not nice emotions, on what's coming in through your senses that you don't care about, but it distracts you enough to look at it. All right, that is not witness consciousness. When you're being distracted by the objects, notice that you are distracted by the objects. Sounds innocent. No, the consciousness, which is you, the awareness of being, is being drawn down out of the seat of self, out of its established position. It's being pulled. Do you feel thoughts pulling on you? Do you feel emotions pulling on you? You know what I'm talking about, but no one will talk to you this way. The you that feels it pull is the consciousness itself. It's your seat of consciousness. You're being drawn out of the seat of consciousness. But you, here, let's say your normal thought patterns are, I work here and I like this person and I'm this and I have this baby. Right there, you have the thoughts all the time. You're drawn into that. You own them. You think it's you. Now something happens that makes your heart hurt. You think you're getting distracted. You're already distracted. You're distracted by your normal state. So the only time you pay attention to it is when something abnormal happens. An abnormal emotion, good or bad, draws you out of your normal state, and you sit there, I just don't feel like myself today. Wow, that's so neat. I wish you could feel yourself. But that's not what you mean by I don't feel myself today. You mean these thought patterns and emotion patterns that I'm always focused on, that I've owned as me. That's why I say, this is me. That's just how I am. No, you are the I am. So witness consciousness takes place when the consciousness, the awareness of being, is not distracted by the objects that are passing before it. It's like a parade. There's passing before it. The lowest level of witness consciousness is you can sit there and notice, wow, there come the thoughts, like a parade. And it's passed right through. You are witnessing that the thoughts are passing through. No thought is pulling you into it. You're established in your seat of awareness. And the objects of awareness, be they thoughts, emotions, or the world, are not pulling you out. Every one of you know what I'm talking about. I don't care if you've meditated ever. I don't care if you do yoga. You feel the pull. You feel the pull down. Let's say you're attracted to something or someone that you don't want to be attracted to. It's got a pull to it, doesn't it? It has no pull. There's no rope connecting to things. There's nothing pulling you. What's happening is your awareness is being distracted by this object and drawing you down to it. You don't actually go down, just like the sun does not come down to earth. It stays out there in the sky. It's been there for 4.5 billion years. There's no day, there's no night, there's no winter, there's no summer. There's just the sun shining. But it emanates its energy and it falls upon the earth. And if the earth turns away from it, we say it's night. It's not night. There's no night. The sun shines exactly the same, day and night, winter, summer, everything. Same thing with your consciousness. It is always there. It is always the same, but it is distracted. I like distracted by, because you can get that. It is distracted by your thoughts. It is distracted by your emotions. And I said to you, you understand when I say it's distracted. When the emotions are strong or the thoughts are troublesome, it distracts you. From what? You don't mean to distract you from your seat of self. It distracts you from what you were distracted by before you got distracted by that. If you understand this, you are so deeper than people understand spirituality. Because that is what's going on, isn't it? What you don't understand, or people have not reached the state in general, is it does not have to be like that. I mean, I have to stop my thoughts? It has nothing to do with stopping your thoughts. You mean I have to make sure I purify my heart so I have really nice emotions? No, it has nothing to do with that. I have to renounce the world so that what? So that what's passing before me doesn't distract me. If it doesn't distract you, why are you renouncing it? Please, let me know if you hear that. If it's not distracting you, you wouldn't know what to renounce. It's all the same. Grass, leaves, clouds, man, woman, tall, short, old, young, rich, poor. They're all the same. It's just an object of consciousness passing by. That's what it's like to be established in witness consciousness. Yet you're not making it not pass by. You're not trying to stop your thoughts. And again, I'm going too far too fast. Of course you can work with your thoughts. Of course you work with your emotions. I told you there's all kinds of techniques, all kinds of things. I just thought we'd bother having a discussion about real spirituality so that you can understand why you're working with your thoughts and understand it is not about stopping your mind. It is not about making your heart never feel certain things. The only reason you don't want your heart to feel jealousy is it's extremely distracting. What if it wasn't? What if it was just like anything else? Oh, you're dancing with somebody. Hey, you're dancing for a long time. Huh, look at all that jealousy. That's neat. Okay, now what's happening? Then it wouldn't matter, would it? There's nothing good or bad about any of it. And again, the real deep teachings, there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. There's no better or worse. There's no spiritual or non-spiritual. What there is are you being distracted by it or not? It's about, are you distracted from your seat of being because this object draws your consciousness into it, and then you get all weird. So witness consciousness, real witness consciousness, deep witness consciousness, is when that doesn't happen. I mean, the objects don't happen? They happen. And they may even draw a little bit of your attention more toward one object than another, but all you do is let go. It's just like a gentle little breeze that starts to draw that way, and there's no effort. It's just effortless. You just release, and then it doesn't draw you. I told you, it's not about renouncing. It's not about challenging or fighting or anything like that. In the new book, I talk about that tug-of-war. Those of you who read the book, you know what I'm talking about. That you're sitting there having a tug-of-war with the whole football team on the other end, and you're trying to not get drawn down through the mud. And Yoda shows up and says, relax your hands. And you say, if I relax my hands, I'll get drawn to be ridiculous. So it's terrible. You know, you got to fight. You got to put your feet certain ways. You learn how to do a tug-of-war. Learn how to use your body weights and everything. And Yoda just says, just relax your hands. Guess what? If you relax your hands in a tug-of-war, that tug-of-war is over. Yes or no? It takes opposing forces for there to be stress, for there to be difficulty, for there to be a pull. There is no pull without you holding on. You know, the expression takes two to tango. It takes two to have stress. Stress is two opposing forces. Are you participating in the stress? Of course you are. I'm so stressed by the job. Well, let go. Let go of the job? No. Let go of you. Let go of the you who's fighting for it to be the way you want it to be. Relax, and you won't be stressed. Then you can deal with it. Don't deal with it due to stress. Deal with it due to clarity. Deal with it because of what's supposed to happen. You know, what's a higher, I don't know how to tell you, that's Dharma. We call it Dharma. If you go there and yell and scream about your job because you're totally stressed out and you're working too hard, thinking I need more money, I think it's very funny. If you're stressed out by your work, how does money fix that? It's just a mental thing. If I'm paid more, I won't be stressed. Really? I'm daring you to understand. I'm trying to lift 150 pounds, trying to press it. Okay, I can't. Here's $6 million. Okay, I'll give it a try. How did that change anything? It changed your mental set of whether you're going to resist. Listen to me. Do you know why the money does it? Because you stop resisting. If you sit there and say, I'm stressed out by this, giving me too much work, well, I'll pay you $3 million more. Okay, we're doing just fine. What changed? The physics is the same. The dynamics is the same. You changed. You said for $3 million, I'll let go. Okay, Yoda, I got it. Relax the hands. How do you like your job? I love it. I love it. But yesterday you said you were stressed. I'm not stressed anymore. You laugh. I'm telling the truth, all right. Now you understand what's going on. Instead of letting go of the pull, whatever the pull is, I don't care what it is. You feel it pull. So it's either for or against. If something you don't like is happening, you come down to fight it, don't you? Something you like is happening, you come down to grab it. It's called resistance and clinging. The very deep meditators understand that because they've reached a state where it's not happening. And then they come back and it's happening. Because they have the patterns, they got used to it, whatever the heck it is, it's a habit. So distraction is a habit to you all the time. That's what I said. It's so funny about ADD, right? Who are you kidding? Just because there's somebody who can't keep focusing on something outside for a prolonged period of time, you can't not be distracted inside. I wonder what I'm going to do. I don't know. I've been thinking about it for a while. I've been trying for 2 years to decide what I'm going to do. I think about it all the time. Hello? Where's the witness consciousness? What? I have to wait till I make this decision. I love it. I wait till I get married. I wait till I'm older and I have children and I fulfilled part of my life and the business is good. Now I'll practice witness consciousness. Yeah, fat chance. Not a chance in the world. So I'm not interested in witness consciousness. I'm interested in not witness consciousness. I always teach that, right? It's more important what is not working so you can see how to let that go than to try and have a concept of the way it's supposed to be when you're not there. You're already in this state of distracted consciousness. You're distracted all the time by what? Your mind, your heart, your body, for sure. Oh my God, my arm hurts. And the world. It's distracted by all of those things. But you only pay attention to when it distracts you from your normal state. I whisper to say that. You have a normal state of distraction, don't you? All right? Okay. What is spirituality? You have learned not to be distracted. Wow. Can you learn that? Yes. Spirituality, real spirituality, is about learning to not be distracted. It's not about right and wrong, good and bad, what should I do and what shouldn't I do. If you're not distracted, you listen to me, if you're not distracted from your normal state, if you're not distracted, if your consciousness remains seated naturally, effortlessly in the seat of self, and you see thoughts coming up, you see emotions coming up, and sometimes you see them not coming up. And you're in the same seat. Nothing changes. You're established in the seat of self. You will always know what to do. There will be no decisions. There will be no anxiety. There will be no uncertainty. Those are of the mind. The mind makes decisions. The mind is uncertain. When you are seated in the self, in the seat of awareness, you don't have these likes and dislikes and fears and anxieties that the mind distracts you with. Right? Are your likes and dislikes distracting? Answer me. Are your likes and dislikes distracting? Yes. Okay. When you're seated in the seat of self, they just pass through. So you haven't invested in them. And eventually they get very thin to where they can't pull you out. From that seat of what we call clarity, that's a seat of clarity. From that seat of pure consciousness, you don't have anything going that makes a melodrama. Let's say there's a decision. Your boss tells you, well, I want you to move up to New York to do the job, or you can stay here and take a cut in salary. All right? It's not a decision because you don't have a preference. I don't need more money. I don't need less money. I don't need to live in New York. I don't need to stay here. I'm fine. Because I already live somewhere that's very beautiful. It's called the seat of self. I am established in a deeper seat. So what happens? You just are completely open and you're going to find out it unfolds. You're going to find out you go home and your husband tells you, I have an illness, they just told me about it and I need to go to the hospital here for a couple of years. I have to go through and there are decisions made for you. And you don't say, oh, but I could have had more money. No. There's no preference. There's just clarity. And you will find that life unfolds. And what do you care? Because it's all just something passes by. And you're fine. If you're fine, you're fine. If you're in a seat of love, ecstasy, joy, inspiration all the time, what do you care what happens? You care now because you're not in that state. And you think more money is going to get you okay, or going to New York will be more fun, or going to New York will be terrible, I don't want to go. You have made all these preferences in your mind, and you are distracted by them. And they don't always agree. Now you get to have the fun being distracted by the argument going on inside your own mind. And you think, if I can make up my mind, it'll be over. If you have that argument going on in your mind, I guarantee you, you make one decision, you'll always think I should have done the other. Just wait till you get to New York and it's smelly or this happens, you can't get a cab. Yes or no? There's no clarity. There's no way out that way. The only way out is witness consciousness. But you have to understand how to naturally take that seat. It is not something you're trying to do. That just becomes another distraction. Oh my God, I forgot to do my mantra. Somebody once told me that. They said, it was a very spiritual person, been doing yoga for years and years and years, and he listened to teachings, and he sat there and said, I went to work today, and he was a computer programmer. I went to work today, and I can't believe how stupid I was. I started doing my work, and I got totally involved in the programming. I lost myself completely. And in an hour or two, I came back up. I forgot to do my mantra. Are you kidding me? That's higher than mantra. That's called one-pointed awareness. If you're drawn into complete heart, soul, everything, one-pointed awareness, that's a very high state. Okay? And so basically, people don't understand spirituality. You see what I'm saying that? So what it's about, in the end, is you are not distracted by yourself. You're not distracted by your thoughts. It doesn't mean you don't have them. You're not distracted by your thoughts. You're not distracted by your emotions. Wouldn't that be nice? There's all kinds of emotions. You're not distracted by them. You're not suppressing them. You're not going with them. People say that. Well, if I don't suppress my emotions, should I get into them? The more you get into the emotion, the stronger it becomes. You are feeding the emotion with your consciousness. Is it better than suppression? Yes. Everything is better than suppression. Everything is better than suppression. Now, there may be times you temporarily have to push something aside because it's causing a lot of trouble, but be aware of that and work on it. Because suppression is the worst thing you can do with energy. Why? Because there's natural energies that are trying to pass through you, and you can't let them. And so you push them away. You will fight them for the rest of your life. They don't stay in there by themselves. It's not true. I took care of it. As long as you don't talk about it. As long as I don't drive by the house where it happened. As long as I don't go into the restaurant where we used to go. As long as I never hear his name. I'm done with it. Yeah, right. So suppression means you are distracted, but you're pushing the whole thing away. If you have to suppress something, there's a higher way to deal with it. And I said temporarily you may have to, because it's just overwhelming. And you have to put it aside. But that's like work in process. You do not want to leave that in there. How do I say it to you? If it's strong and too strong for you to handle, and you've had things like that, and you have to push it away in order to breathe, in order to be okay, that energy that was trying to come up is still trying to come up. And the energy you used as will to push it away, you must use it all the time for the rest of your life. You just gave away some of your love, some of your joy, some of your energy, inspiration, everything. It's just happening subconsciously. You don't notice it anymore. But I'm telling you, that thing doesn't stay down there unless you're pushing it down. There's no glue in there. There's no solidity inside. Do you understand that? There's no solidity inside of you. It's thinner than air, way thinner than air. What's going on inside, the mental and emotional, all that kind of psychological stuff. It stays in there because you have will. You have an opposing power called will. And the consciousness that is supposed to be seated in the seat of self, letting go, isn't letting go. It's focusing its attention and its power, Chit Shakti, conscious energy. It's focusing its attention and its power on that object so it doesn't come up because I can't handle it. It will always try to come back up. It'll come in your dreams. Somebody will say something, it'll come back up. And you got to push it back down. Do you understand how much Shakti you're wasting? How much energy you're wasting? You're giving up your spiritual being by using that energy for the rest of your life. Go ask psychiatry. It does not go away. It does not go away unless it comes up and you let it go. And you won't do that. You hear me? You do everything you can to not let it come back up. You choose a spouse, you choose a house, you choose a place to live, you choose a job, you choose every single thing to have that not come back up. Well, I don't even think about it. Yes, but that's why you don't like certain things. And that's why you like other things. Because deep inside, that junk is still going on down there. It's so important to understand. You did not get rid of it if you pushed it away. The only way it's gone is when it makes it through you. And I don't need to resist it anymore. Because otherwise you're living this power, love, Shakti, joy, energy. You're using that precious stuff to fight that thing that happened when you were 5 years old. Do you mind if I call that crazy? That's ridiculous. It's not even happening anymore. No wonder you get tired. No wonder you're sensitive. No wonder you got emotional problems. That's why. So you catch on that it's all about not getting distracted by the realities that are passing before you and inside of you. If you could reach that state where you're not distracted by the things, you still deal with them, but you don't deal with them because you can't handle them. All right? Now you're dealing with everything because I can't handle it. I can't handle what you're saying. I can't handle this. I can't handle that. I can't handle my job. Or I can't handle not having this. It's always I can't handle. I love you so much, and I can't handle not being with you. I can't stand you. I can't handle being near you. Same. They're the same. They're not neutral. You're distracted by them, and now you have to struggle with them. Well, that's not spirituality. So I can't help myself because everybody teaches different, and I love everybody's teaching. Just get this straight. Everybody, any teacher you want to listen to is fine. I love that people are working on themselves. I love that people are teaching. But this thing about the law of attraction, people write me that all the time. What is that about? I am distracted by this. I can't handle it. I think there's a way to attract it to myself so I feel better. Well, maybe we should work on why you're distracted by it enough to where it's bothering you, to where you need to attract it to yourself, instead of leaving all that and saying, okay, I'm going to attract it to myself. Do you understand the difference? So there's nothing wrong with it. It's like people do all kinds of things to get what they want. There's nothing special about the law of attraction, because you don't understand. While your consciousness is being distracted by these mental things that you created and the emotional things you created, you're not going anywhere. You'll just temporarily be okay because you got what you wanted. When was the last time you got what you wanted? You never wanted anything else. Not even close. It will never work. Why? Because you are the self. You are the consciousness. Your complete love, joy, ecstasy, Satchitananda, eternal conscious ecstasy. That's who you are. That's what's back there. Well, how are you going to be happy if that's who you are and you're down here in all this junk being pulled down? You're trying. Everything you're doing is trying to be okay. The only okay is your natural state. So it is about learning to not be distracted. That's what all the spirituality is about. If you learn not to be distracted, you don't have to learn how to go to the seat of self. You're in the seat of self. You are distracted from the seat of self. If you're not distracted, you don't need to find the seat of self. And guess what else you don't have to find? God. Why? Because the consciousness has a source. Everything has a source. Right now it's beyond anybody thinking about it because they're so distracted by their personal self, their thoughts, emotions, desires, fears, that they're not even close to the seat of self. The moment you understand, you are not that. You are the consciousness that is aware of your thoughts, aware of your emotions. But even if I teach you that, it sounds good, and you can say, well, I'm the consciousness aware of my emotions. But you're not. You're the consciousness that's distracted by your emotions and distracted by your thoughts, and that's where you live, don't you? You live every minute of your life distracted by your thoughts, distracted by your emotions, and distracted by the world. If you learn to undo that, learn to release that, that's what the deep teachings are. Learn to let go of this distraction, and you can learn, and I will talk to you about it. Every one of you can. Then you will find naturally that you are back in there, aware of the pull. That's when you know you're in witness consciousness. When you're aware there's a pull to go out. Something's pulling you out of that seat, and you've learned to not go. Not by struggling, by relaxing the hands. I teach you, relax, don't I? Relax and let go. And sometimes you say, let go of what? I just told you. When you're deep, you let go of the pull that's pulling you out of the seat of consciousness. Pulling you out, the distraction. You just relax. Then, let's do it quickly, you will end up seated in the seat of self, effortlessly. Why would there be an effort? There's no effort. There's nothing pulling you out. You're not going with it. So you're seated there. And it becomes very beautiful. Why? Because it is beautiful. The self is beautiful. The consciousness is ecstasy. It is Satchitananda, eternal conscious ecstasy. That is what's going on inside of you right now. No matter what's going on, that's what's going on inside of you. It's trouble is you get distracted. Imagine getting distracted from the most beautiful thing in the universe. Why? Because you think you can find something nice. You left the nicest thing there is in the entire universe to go try to find something nice. Right? And so, what I mean by that, you are distracted, and now you're trying to get that which will compensate for your distraction. I'm distracted by a heart that got hurt when I was in high school. And I just don't feel I'm capable of love. And I had a lot of trouble with that relationship, and it really hurt me because I really loved him or her, and I'd never been dumped before, and it was really a problem. So now I don't know how to love. So what do? I need to find somebody that will help me learn how to love. You went the wrong way. You're going out. You're sitting there saying, I am the one that's not okay. Now let me find something that will make me feel better. Instead of, I am the ecstasy, the total most beautiful thing in the whole universe, that got distracted with this garbage that's going on inside my mind, that got imprinted there because I couldn't handle somebody dumping me. And so now I'm closed. If you understand this, I've done my job. Do you understand? So the question is, are you going out to compensate for the fact that you're distracted, or are you going back in and learning not to be distracted, which is the only time you'll ever find peace? That's the peace that passeth all understanding. We understand the peace that's understandable. I got what I wanted. I'm so at peace. I was so worried. I feel so good now. He said he loved me. Okay. The peace that passeth all understanding is the one that's there whether he says he loves you or not. You're not distracted by it. You're seated in a deep seat. What happens? You start feeling, I use it as the end, I'll do it now, then we'll talk about how to not be distracted. You will start feeling joy. I'm telling you, I promise you. People write me all the time. I can't even believe it. 60, 70%. Today was 80% of every single email we get. Oh, how can I thank you? My whole life changed. I feel all this energy rushing up inside of me. Oh my God. They let go. They practice letting go. And there is a natural energy inside of you that will cease to be blocked by your distractions. You'll start feeling beautiful energy inside. Then what happens? The consciousness, you're going to understand, spirit loves spirit. The consciousness loves Shakti. It loves that energy flow. Love loves love. How about that one? Consciousness loves bathing in love, doesn't it? Consciousness loves bathing in enthusiasm and high and passion, doesn't it? High loves high. And so you start feeling all this high, and all of a sudden the rest of the stuff falls off. That's why I'm not into renunciation. I don't want to do any of that kind of stuff. It just falls off. If I'm feeling something really beautiful inside that's higher than anything I ever felt before, and it doesn't need you to like me, and it doesn't need me to get this or get a raise or make money or live in a nice house, I don't have to do anything. It's free of charge. Guess which one I'm taking? I don't know about you guys. The Bible says when you fell from the garden, now you have to work by the sweat of your brow to be okay. That's what you're doing. You fell from the state of complete, total well-being down into this garbage. Now you must work by the sweat of your brow to try and be okay. Every minute of every day. As you start to feel the energy, the consciousness does not want to leave. You don't have to struggle. It just naturally rests itself in that. And because you let go more of that which was distracting you, now it's not distracting you, it gets stronger. That's called the ascent. It gets stronger and stronger and stronger. What does? The inner pull upward as opposed to the outer pull downward. There is an inner pull upward, back to the source. You have to think about it. It just basically, because you're not holding it down, you're not distracting it, it doesn't get pulled out. And it starts to get pulled back. And the great masters, which is why we have pictures, and we respect the great, truly enlightened beings. That's, when we mean guru, we mean Sadguru. A fully enlightened being. What does that mean? I just told you. They let go enough to where the energy is now pulling up. And when it pulls up, it's sort of like, it's hard to let go completely because you're used to being separate. You're used to being this thing in there, right? Even if you let go of your ego, you're still the one that used to watch the ego. In the final moments, what Christ said, you're being asked to die to be reborn. You let go, or you don't let go. It just draws back strong enough to where you can't help. It just pulls back. And the great master said, the drop of consciousness that was staring at my mind fell into the ocean of consciousness. And that's enlightenment. So people write, say, oh, I'm enlightened now. No, you had an enlightening experience. You're not enlightened. I just told you, that's enlightenment. So watch that word. The fact that the consciousness not only is no longer being distracted by the garbage below, it's no longer sitting in the seat of witness consciousness. Why? Witness consciousness is still witnessing what's going on below, isn't it? That's how they describe it, watching your mind, watching your thoughts, your emotions. When you get deep enough, there's no doing that. The consciousness is being drawn up into the source of consciousness. And when it gets drawn back far enough, Mayor Baba said it was like a drop of water fell into the ocean. Find it. Find that drop of water. It merged, didn't it? That is what the word yoga means. It means union, merger. And there are great beings, including Christ. My Father and I are one. And the great master said the exact same thing. So that's where you're going. That's spirituality, is when the individual self, the Atman, falls into Paramatman. And that's what yoga is all about. That's what the Upanishads are about. That's what all that deep, deep ancient writings are about. Oh my God. All right, and there's God. The one consciousness that is the same throughout the entire universe, period. And it is that consciousness that they're looking down toward that is the quantum field. It is the same energy. Consciousness is energy. Energy is consciousness. It's called Chit Shakti in yoga. Conscious energy. They're the same thing. That is what's underneath manifesting this entire creation. There. God. That's a good word for God. And that which is conscious throughout the entire universe equally and is manifesting the entire universe and is looking at it through the mosquito and through you. Anything that's conscious is the same consciousness. All right? Okay. There's the deep spiritual truth. Now, what do? What's the highest technique? They teach you meditation techniques. I won't. I want to teach you what you're doing when you're not meditating. Doesn't mean you shouldn't meditate. I want to teach you what you're doing 99% of the time, which is when you're not meditating, because that's what matters. If it's all about not getting distracted, let's practice not getting distracted. That's a funny way to talk about it, but no one ever told you that was spirituality. Practicing not getting distracted. Imagine if you don't get distracted, you're not getting distracted. And then you stay in the seat of self. Then you get pulled back into merger. That's the highest state, that you're not getting distracted. How in the world do I practice not getting distracted? I have been teaching it to you from the day I opened my mouth as a teacher. Start with the small stuff. Don't start with your jealousy. Don't start with pain from death. Don't start with fear. Don't start with desire. Don't start with those things. If you can't not get distracted by how the driver in front of you is driving, if you can't not get distracted because it's 87 degrees instead of 83, if you can't not get distracted because it's raining out and you want to go deliver something, you might get wet. If you can't not get distracted because you dropped something on your clothes, you have to go back to work, then you don't stand a chance. If you can't do it with these tiny, tiny little things that are meaningless, it is so stupid to get distracted by those things, isn't it? I told you, as a businessman, we have a thing called cost-benefit analysis. Ever heard of it? A lot of you guys are in business. Cost-benefit analysis. I'll tell you what, you get hired, probably by Musk, that's a good one. You get hired by Elon, and you have one of these meetings, investment meetings, and you raise your hand, Elon, I got the perfect investment. What is that? Here it is. Well, what's the analysis? Did you analyze? Oh, I analyzed the heck out of it. What is it? It is 100% cost and zero benefit. Let's do it. Bye-bye. You're doing it every day of your life. Every day of your life, you can be okay while you're driving to work. And because the person didn't use their blinker, because they stepped on their brakes too often, because they cut you off a little bit, because they're driving too slow, because they're driving too fast behind you, you can't not get distracted, can you? You're going to start thinking about it and talking to them. They don't hear you. You are distracted by the way the driver in front of you is driving. How about we take that one on? How about we sit there and say, if I'm going to practice not being distracted, I'll start right there. It seems like child's play. Believe me, you will change your life if you do that. That's why it works. I always teach you, relax and release. Don't get into small stuff, low-hanging fruit. Now you understand why. Because if you're going to be distracted by that, you're going to be distracted by every single thing there is. Because that's meaningless. And that's nothing. You know, if somebody shows up and says, you're fired, probably get distracted. Okay? But this isn't that. This is nothing. There's nothing. All right? Listen to me. I dare you to practice not being distracted. I've never said it to you like that. But now you understand how powerful not being distracted is, isn't it? It's your entire spiritual path. The only thing that stands between you and full enlightenment is distraction. Will you practice with these meaningless things? How? Just let go. Practice letting go. If you have to, do a mantra, do affirmation. I don't care. Ultimately, you don't have to do anything. But if you have to, that's fine. But at least work with yourself. Work with practicing not being distracted. And what's going to happen, you're going to find out, of course you can do it. It's fun. It's like a video game. People play video games, try to go to the highest plane. Well, you play video game, try to go to the highest plane inside. Okay? And so basically you do that. Then what'll happen, something bigger will happen, and you'll find out you built the ability to let go. That's what letting go is, not getting distracted. People say to me, what does letting go mean? Not getting distracted. How do I not get distracted? Let go. Let go of the pull it has on you. Just relax. There are all my teachings. Let go, relax, and release. They're all about not getting distracted. They're all about not going with the distraction. How about that? If you weren't getting distracted, you wouldn't know to do it at all. But it's starting to distract you. You don't have to go. You can let go. Just relax and release. Don't fight, don't struggle. Just relax and release. And next thing you know, something bigger happens, and you learn how to not get distracted. It's pretty far out. Then, we're getting close to the end here. I will give you the biggest one there is. This low-hanging fruit, the driver, those aren't the big ones. I will give you the biggest one that is 100% cost and zero benefit. And if you do it, you will reach a state that is unbelievable, beyond your comprehension. What's that? Your past. What do you mean? There's no benefit to be bothered by your past. There's no benefit for you to be bothered by something that's not happening. Now, I don't care what psychology says. I don't care how this hits you. Oh, Mickey, you have no compassion. No, I'm very compassionate. I love you. I don't want you to be bothered by your past. Don't fight with it. Don't get mad at it. Don't try to rip it out. Just look at it and realize that's ridiculous. My father said that to me 20 years ago, and it's still bothering me. And I can't even have a decent relationship with the man because it's still bothering me. Wow. That's a choice. Your choice is let it go. That's your choice. Your choice is take a look at it. It won't go right away. It was stored with pain. It's going to come back with pain. The problem is you're distracted by that pain. You can't handle it. When you learn to handle the driver in front of you, when you learn to handle the temperature of the weather, when you learn to handle somebody who didn't say hello, when you learn to handle those things, you're going to find out this thing has more room. You've learned to cool it. Relax. And all of a sudden, Daddy's going to come back up, and you're going to look at that. I told you once, you know how you deal with that stuff inside of you? Do not get mad at it. Do not yell at it. Do not try to rip it out. Just very, very quietly, when it shows its face, say, I love you. Your days are numbered. You are not going to be in here very long, but it's okay. It's okay. We'll work with you. But your days are numbered. I'm telling you, you learn to work with your past, everything I just taught you will become automatic. Freud would say 99% of your garbage is from your past. The fact that you don't like something now is because something happened in the past. And so you're just multiplying, you're bringing your entire past. You have trouble with the future? Because your past projects itself into the future. If you were brought up a certain way and everything was fine, your future looks fine. If you're brought up and you had problems, you don't want that to happen again. That's what your future looks like, scary. You're just projecting the stuff you store from the past into your thoughts about the future. Because you don't know the future, you made it up. But you make it up based on your past. What else are you going to make it up based on? Wake up. That's what this is about. Wake up. You are a great being. Nothing has ever damaged you. No matter what the light is shining on, it doesn't matter how long it shined on it. The light is transcendent to what it's shining on. You are transcendent to every single thing that happened to you, to everything that's inside of you. You're the consciousness. You're the light of consciousness shining on objects. So learn to wake up. Learn to work on yourself every day. I told you, when you wake up in the morning and you go to bed at night, you should not be the same person. You made me cry. I'm serious. You should not be the same person who goes to bed at night as the one who woke up in the morning. Why? Because you let go of stuff. You practice working on yourself. You practice not being distracted. And you let go of any stuff that got caught today. No, I got enough in there. I don't need more. I don't know about you. I got enough in there. I don't want more in there. So the fact that somebody didn't say hello, the fact that the boss criticized me, the fact that somebody else got the job that I wanted, the fact that I didn't know who my husband was talking to, but he talked a long time on that phone. No, I got enough in here. I got enough in here. If there's something going to go on with the relationship, I'll find out later. I'll deal with it when it happens. I don't need my mind making this stuff up and worrying about everything. How about you? But you can't do that. Why? Because you stored getting hurt in the past and you're afraid of having it happen again. And therefore your whole being is distracted by the garbage you stored inside. Let it go. When? When it comes up. How do I know what to let go of? It will be right in your face. You don't have to do anything else. Nothing else. Just when it comes up, let it go. When it starts drawing you down into it, try to let go. Well, if I can't, then you do the best you can. Just nothing's asked of you. Do the best you can. But then I feel guilty. That's stupid. You do the best that you can. You ride the bicycle the best you can. You fall a bunch of times. That's how you learn. There's nothing wrong with that. If you do the best that you can, it's fine. It's perfect. It's wonderful. Do the best that you can and honor the fruits to the best you can. If it comes back and it's negative, worship it because it means you had something to learn. You do the best that you can. This is what came back. Okay, now I see better than I did. But there's no guilt. There's no shame. There's not anything like that. You just keep letting go. So we had I've never talked this way on this particular subject, right? It was all focused on distraction, wasn't it? You all think distraction is a non-spiritual thing. Distraction is extremely spiritual. It's what's keeping you from God. So as you work with distraction, as you work with letting go, little by little, you're going to liberate yourself. You free yourself. Work on these things. Jagrative.